Financing have been identified as a major stumbling block for young politicians vying for office. Despite many of them currently navigating a challenging political environment, the question of whether they can retain their seats remains a pressing concern. Our reporter Paul Kirobi engaged with several young MPs and senators currently holding office to better understand their struggles. Take a look.
Because even if you come with a party that you don't like, or even if you come with a party that is in opposition, look at it now. The opposition is in government. So it doesn't matter which party you come with. What matters is the person and the character. And that person, look at the young people.
The older folks also are trying to safeguard the space they have occupied. The MPs in that parliament who have been there for over 30 years, and they are not willing to cede that ground for the younger politicians.
Kiambu Senator Karungo Athang'wa is one of the few political leaders who have defied the odds, rising from a member of the county assembly to being an elected senator. His journey through the political landscape showing a lot of courage and a persistence to overcome the many obstacles in his path. However, there is a dark cloud hanging over youth leadership as young people strive to challenge the status quo controlled by seasoned political figures in the country.
The voters, they are the one. I never had a godfather. I never had anybody to hold my hand and tell me I'm going to walk with you, I will teach you how politics it is. Nobody. And that's why I'm so free at heart today to speak my mind. Because if I was held by somebody, if somebody lifted me up, I'll be reporting back to him or to her.
The issue of political realignment has become another barrier for young political leaders as they struggle to form direct connections with powerful figures or presidential candidates. Senator Karungo recalls how his election was met with a lot of challenges during the 2017 general election.
Political realignment affects young people because probably they did not have an opportunity to know that big man. You know, like in 2017, when I was running for senator, I did not know anybody in the national government. The biggest person I knew at that particular time was the governor candidate, who was the Governor Waititu at that particular time in Kiambu, was also an aspirant. I did not know anyone beyond there. So when they did what they did to me by, stealing my votes and giving it to somebody else, they did that because I did not have that network. But let me tell you, times have changed. You do not need the network. All we want is to affirm IEBC so that IEBC can have a very transparent and accountable election process.
It's a question of political patronage. You know how politics is organized around individuals. So sometimes when you fall out with a particular political figure, it also translates to votes. I will give you the case of the late Ken Okoth. Ken Okoth was almost losing his seat at some point because he came out quite strongly, and at some point it appeared like he was actually overstepping the spaces that were accommodated to him in, say, a party like ODM. But fortunately, he had literally entrenched himself so nicely on the ground that he was able to overcome the whole question of political patronage.
During election cycles, aspiring politicians face the daunting task of raising funds to secure party tickets. The cost of obtaining a party ticket varies based on the party's influence in the region. According to Bernard Kitur, Member of Parliament for Nandi Hills, this practice sets a dangerous precedent, encouraging corruption once MPs are elected to represent their constituencies.
Or in any case, once you get into power, they will deduct from you. Like right now, I think I pay 20 or 30,000 shillings every month. For the entire period, I will be a member of parliament. So, and this goes to running the political party. So, I wish, and it's my plea, that political parties must give the young or the youth tickets for free.
Political analysts argue that the language of sycophancy is slowly fading as many young leaders are finding new ways to generate income and build their popularity outside traditional political systems. Gitonga Mukunji, a first-term member of parliament for Manyata, was elected at just 35 years of age. He discusses the shifting dynamics within the political arena where realignments take place and how youth face challenges due to the rising divide between hustlers and political dynasties.
Not the age of Kibaki, where there was this mafias, Kiambu mafias. No, they're not there. At where somebody would speak.
Anthony Buluma, the CEO of Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, emphasizes that the future of young political leaders hinges on their ability to mobilize the younger generation around relatable issues.
I feel like the future will really be determined by the agenda we identify today that can be able to mobilize the young generation to vote for younger people. Because if you look at even the statistics, as at last elections, they say the voter turnout amongst young people was the poorest in the history of this country. And it's always been like that because young people don't have motivation to go and vote. So it is upon us to redefine this, to challenge this narrative.
Some seasoned MPs, such as Honorable Didymus Baraza, believe that by 2032, the old guard will step aside to make room for young MPs to take the reins.
Of young members of parliament who began their politics during Kibaki's regime would be taking over the reins of this country from that generation that I can say still harbors some remnant of colonial mindset. You know, those senior politicians who landed their politics under the armpits of Khan.
Bernard Kitur believes that if young MPs become more involved in parliamentary committees, they will gain the experience necessary to excel in leadership and governance. The political storm brewing in the country comes at a time when the Gen Z appears disillusioned with the current leadership. Even though the road to become an elected leader in Kenya is bumpy and requires a lot of resources, young political leaders still have hope they will shape the politics of this country. Paul Kirobi, TV47, KICC, Nairobi.
And of course, thank you so much, Paul Kirobi, for that report, which will also be shaping part of our conversation tonight with my guests.